This is our last week together, so I'd like to wrap up by saying some things about the future of learning and the science and psychology of learning. Now, looking at learning from a historical standpoint, it's fascinating to see how technology and science advances have changed the nature of learning. Uh, 100 years ago, we were going through the industrial age, where human labor was being replaced with machines. The nature of learning back then, many people learned a craft, learned a skill, and they were able to make a living throughout their entire lifetime based on that skill that they learned. And those skills were passed down from one generation to the next. Now, the information age and the advent of computers has changed a lot of that. The nature of learning, even when I was in school in the 60s through the 80s, a lot of learning was simply memorization. You would memorize formulas and words and ways of doing things, and then you were tested on it. That was learning. Well, now with computers storing massive amounts of information and processing massive amounts of information, much of that memorization burden has been removed from people. And now it's more a matter of knowing where to find information, how to find information, how to discover answers, and how to create new information. Now, here's a fascinating statistic that I just looked up using the internet. The pace of information increase is rapidly changing. Here are the statistics. Buckminster Fuller created the idea of the knowledge doubling curve, and he noted that by 1900, information, the amount of knowledge, human knowledge, was doubling about every century, about every 100 years. Now, on average, human knowledge is doubling every 13 months. But here's an amazing, amazing statistic. According to IBM, with the Internet of Things being built out, this will lead to the doubling of knowledge every 12 hours. So if you can imagine that, what used to take 100 years in terms of information increase is now taking 12 hours, and there's a lot more knowledge to double. So the advent of the internet has led to a huge explosion in information, and that leads naturally to a change in teaching methods, learning methods, the nature of education, even the nature of human existence. So just to wrap up with you, I've enjoyed this class. I've enjoyed working with all of you. As you know, I took on this class in the middle of it with just a few hours of advance notice. The dean contacted me and said, an instructor needs to drop out. Can you take over this class? So I took it over. I'm very happy I did. I enjoyed it quite a bit. Even though I've never taught this particular class before, I'm fascinated by learning and learning theories. And just as a final note, you'll get a course evaluation form. You'll be asked to evaluate this class. Since this is the first time I've taught it, and since I expect to teach it again, I would very much appreciate and value your feedback, and I do look at every single evaluation and take it into account when I teach future courses. So that wraps things up. Best wishes for a very successful career.